Going on, guys? It's Grow My Small Portfolio, and today I'm going to be covering a stock that I feel like I don't see much coverage on. And realistically, I don't know how many times I searched it. I feel like I searched it up at least once or twice. No, definitely once. I was trying to find out some info one day when it was up quite a bit, and there was no coverage on it. So that's why I'm going to bring you guys some coverage. I like covering stocks that I like that I would just normally watch. It just makes sense, right? If you want to get some views on YouTube and help some people out. So first and foremost, what I want to say is this is not financial advice, and that I would say that this is one of those stocks where if you're, and again, not advice, right? But especially if you're an investor that is just not willing to lose their money. I mean, any investor should be ready, right? I mean, of course, it's with the proper risk management, it's hard, right? As long as you're really on top of it. Not everyone is, but I would say this is one of those situations where it's a stock that is very high beta, which means it's going to move a lot. It's going to have a lot of volatility on days where there's bad news on nuclear power, or maybe they cut back funding on nuclear power. You could see this stock go down 50%, right? Does that mean it's actually going to happen, or does that mean that it's going to stay there forever? Who knows, right? Nobody knows. But what I will say is this is one of those similar plays like an Oklo. Oklo is a. Oh, I hit Bloom. That's hilarious. Okay. That's funny. I don't know if you guys saw that. But Oklo is one of those companies where, these guys don't even have regulatory approval yet for their nuclear reactor, their SMR. However, NuScale does. And my biggest thing when I'm spectating is I'm always looking at the market cap. Sorry, not spectating. Well, I guess spectating could work. Speculating. Speculating means, honestly, I'll just break it down in layman's terms. Speculating literally just means this company is not producing any revenue. So what you're buying is skewed to the downside in terms of its actual valuation. However, you as that investor, you're betting that this company is going to grow into that valuation, and of course even double or triple from there, right? Because if you think that the upside is only 18 billion in terms of the market cap, that's a that's pretty little upside. I mean, it's still upside, but that downside could be greater if the upside's only two. You understand what I'm saying? So my train of thought when I'm looking at these plays is, well, number one, what do I think of the stock? Well, like I mentioned, they're the only small module reactor with regulatory approval. I believe that's traded. I believe there are some that are out there, but I believe they're all private. If anybody knows anything specific on that, please let me know. I'm talking about SMRs in specific. And when we come and take a look at the market cap here, totally past it. We're currently sitting at eight. No, wow. I thought we were at eight. So we're at 6.5 billion right now. Remember, Oklo was at 18. Sorry, excuse me, 16 billion. So literally, SMR has to double for it to get to Oklo's current valuation, and one of them actually has regulatory approval. Now, that's not me shitting on Oklo because Oklo has a lot of potential for sure. It's very early to call these, bust. I mean, and I don't think people are calling them bust. I think people are just saying that the valuations are extended, but I could say a lot about that. Uh, I think it's all speculators coming into the market, and I think the younger generation just would rather be early than late. So I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so in general, I like NuScale as compared to Oklo. I do want to own some nuclear power. President Trump is obviously pushing the production of nuclear power, and when you have one that is already in the game, ready to go, I think if the demand is there, as they say it is for power and data centers, then why not go with what's already available? Because it's essentially instantly available. at least as compared to Oklo. Oklo, you got to wait for it to be approved, and then you got to wait for it to be massively produced. So if there's one that's already approved, they're already about literally halfway there. So that's enough talking about that. I'll tell you guys a little bit about them. They're a small nuclear power unit that's factory built and shipped to the site, and it'd be constructed there on site. So makes that whole process a little easier. Um, Obviously, it's past the NRC regulatory approvals, which just means that it's safe, and the design was approved. So very simple stuff there. What I'm going to say is going to be the most important. This is probably a better way of really seeing this. Is nuclear power, or excuse me, NuScale Power has an exclusive partnership with Entra One Energy to commercialize its SMR globally. Long story short, here, this is a partnership between the U.S. and Japan framework. That means that Entra One from SMR could receive up to 25 billion in funding under the 550 billion in that framework, right? So sorry, I was looking at my notification as it came up there. You probably heard it. Yeah. So this is obviously a huge deal if this comes to fruition. Now, I'm not just banking on this. I want you guys to know that this isn't me saying, "Oh yeah, they have this $25 billion deal. It's probably going to come at some point." No, the way I'm looking at it is, okay, well, there's conviction here. So if there's conviction with just one specific situation, um, shouldn't that mean that there's probably going to be other deals to come? Maybe some can be greater. Maybe they'd still even be less. Maybe it's just a $500 million contract or $1 billion contract. But what does that do to the bottom line of a $6.5 billion market cap company with just one of those deals? So again, I'm just speculating, but just some of the reasons as to why I like the stock. And again, I keep heavily using that word speculating because I'm not saying that this company's worth the price, right? I'm just looking at the trends in the chart as well as the trends with the current sentiment around the market. This is a stock that has just recently pulled back more than 50% from its highs, and um, look, the stock was literally up 55%. Now it's down 40%. So this is one of those situations where I'm looking at it and I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna get in for the long term and see what happens. And I could have a stop loss, right? I could have a stop loss at 20% if I think it could fall forward, continue to fall. Right now, the way I look at the chart is, in my opinion, I think we fell as much as we needed to. If anything, I could still see us potentially going here, and this is if we get more bearish nuclear news, or if this Fed rate cut that is supposed to happen. This is being filmed the day before, so I'm not sure as to what happened yet. But if it's a sell the news type of situation, then and it gets sold really hard, then it could go here. But I realistically think it did what it needed to do because there's this price inefficiency in here, and what I mean by that is these there's no bodies in here, right? Of course there is this little body here, but there was no selling going on here. Obviously there was tons of selling. The problem was that it just got bought up. That at this point investors stepped in, and the way I'm looking at this chart right now is I think we're going to want to move towards the upside. This is going to be my short-term goal, and by that I mean literally just 2 to 3 months from now. I would say we're going to hit this range here, which is 32.16. Again, not any financial advice. This is just what I'm reading from the charts. But and then here, what we see is we did take out liquidity here. So that is why I still don't rule out this portion here. And this is just a 1 day chart. However, I mean, we could see we're in a fair value gap in here as well. If we go into the 4 hour, we can see this right here. So change of state here, pushing up and out. Obviously, we got really excited. No selling happened here other than on this side. Now we're consolidating around that middle portion. Took out liquidity here. And again, if we're gonna rally, we're gonna rally up and above in here, and then eventually here. I'm not selling it here. I'm also not gonna sell it here. I probably would. I feel like it'd be tough to sell it here. I think you still got to buy it here, and you sell it a little bit lower. I have just such a long-term investor horizon that I really don't care what can happen to a stock for 2 to 3 years. Um, you got to manage your risk too, because realistically, you could totally sell even right here at 2033. And it just depends on how you want to go about it. Do you want to have low maintenance? Then maybe sell down here. Do you want to have high maintenance and potentially higher returns? Most likely higher returns, let's be real. Then you could just sell it right here. But you got to look at where are you going to target, and that's what a investor has to figure out for themselves, or a trader. Sorry, but I'm more of an investor myself. So I'm just looking to hold for the long term. I'm anxious to see what deals they get. I've been waiting for a pullback in this name, and in fact, I did buy this stock several times. I probably bought it around here, sold it around here, bought it around here, and then I I think I got scared on this one. Actually, I probably bought it like here and then sold it here, like at my break even. And then of course it ultimately ended up running up, which I knew was going to take out the liquidity there. That was an old target I had, but yeah, this is a stock that I just would rather own than to not. Especially when it gives me a 50% drawdown, and I could own, like in my personal case, I currently, so I bought 52 shares on this dip, and I was buying ever since it was probably at 29, I'm pretty sure. Um, but I also sold the bulk of it here at 41 just to play it safe, which in retrospect, it was a great day. Definitely was a great day. But to sell, at least just in terms of the trade. That's why you having those tight stop losses can be very, very helpful. It's up to you as a trader to show, how disciplined you are. And in general, this is a stock where um, I think I'm going to closely watch it, but for the most part, I think I'm just going to stay long term. I like the thesis around it. I think nuclear power is here to stay, and it's only going to get bigger from here. And at a $6.45 billion valuation, where this AI spend is currently, I think they have a unique opportunity to capture a ton of that. So let me know what you guys think of SMR. I gave you guys a lot. Totally yapped on this. I hope you guys appreciate my thesis on it. It's not much. It's not so much about the specific numbers when the numbers themselves don't really matter. Let me know if you're bearish or bullish on the stock. I'd be interested to hear both sides just to see, what the bears are saying. And same things with the bulls. I just want to hear what you guys are saying overall on this stock. Like I said, I feel like I searched this up. I don't really see much coverage on it. So just interested to see who's actually searching this up and what their thesis is. I feel like this stock could definitely have a cult-like following, and we'll see. All right, you guys have a good one. Thank you for watching. Take care.